Hi Verbling, my name is Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about book excerpts. We'll be reading some paragraphs from a few novels that I really enjoyed and talking a lot about novels from other places, any authors that you enjoy, and other conversation topics. All right, let's start with Jorgen. Welcome to class.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. Yeah, this is a perfect topic for you, huh? You're really interested in creative writing.
Yes, I am, yes.
All right. Ksenia, welcome to class.
Hello.
Good to have you with us. Saiban, welcome to class.
Hello, teacher.
Hello. I know I've had you in class. Is it Zach? No. I can't. It's hard for me to understand your name because it's written in a language. Omar. I know I've had you before, Omar. Right? I've had you before.
Yes.
I will remember you. Welcome to class.
Thank you.
And Anna Catalina, welcome to class as well.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get started talking about reading. I'm going to assume that because you guys joined this class, you probably have some interest in reading. But you might not always have. I know that when I was young, when I was probably before the age of 16 or 17, I hated reading. I thought it was like really difficult and sort of stressful for me. And I just felt like I wasn't good at it. I didn't like it at all. But of course, once I got old enough to really do reading for the enjoyment and not for like boring schoolwork and stuff, I got to kind of explore topics that interested me, and now I love to read. So I want to hear some of the books or authors that you feel like inspired you to read. Or if there are no authors, if you read because you have to read, you can tell us that too. Let's start on the right with Omar. Tell us.
About what? Sorry. About what? I'm sorry.
So tell us why you like reading or why you don't like reading, and tell us about any books or authors that made you like it.
Yes. I don't like reading actually, but I'm trying to read sometimes. I have some books in Arabic language and English. For example, The Little Prince. I'm trying to read.
Okay, so you aren't a big fan of reading. Why not?
Sorry?
You said you're not really a big fan of reading, right? You don't
Yes.
read a lot. How come?
I don't know. When I open the book, I'm not happy. I don't know. I just read for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and close it. I don't know.
Sometimes it's too much sitting all at once or a little hard to keep still. That makes sense.
Maybe.
All right. Thanks, Omar. Saiban, tell us about
Thank
if you
you.
like reading and why or why not.
Okay. Since I'm a graduate student in the United States, so that I have to read a lot for my research, and that's why I read a lot, especially in my discipline, in my field, in the
What's your
program.
field?
It's MIS, Management Information System. So I have to read a lot. That's why I'm reading especially in the programming. I have book of my. It's like it contains like 400 pages, and then I have to read going step by step and apply what I have just read about the programming. I mean, the detail of the programming language. So, but I don't like reading for a fun. Just reading because I have to read. It forces me, especially the professor, as you know, in the United States, when they ask us to summarize, like sometimes will ask us to summarize 400 pages or 300 pages, and then I mean paraphrase it, and then or cite it, and then send it to the professor. Any kind of the programmage will, I mean, will take you out from the
It's a lot of
college.
work.
Yeah, so it's, but I don't like reading for fun.
All right, that's an interesting response. You read a lot, but never for fun. Okay. Philip, go ahead and tell us why you read, any authors or books that were your favorites.
I read to learn.
That's a good answer. So you like more like textbooks rather than novels?
Yes, that's true. I don't
What do you
like.
like to read about?
I don't like adventurous books. I just read to learn.
So what do you like to learn about?
Everything, languages, science, economic, and so on. Yes.
All right.
Mhm.
Interesting. Thanks, Philip.
Uh,
Ksenia, how about you? What are your favorite books, authors, and why do you like to read? Or why not?
I like to read. In this case, I can escape from real world and feel myself in wonderful world, or maybe in different world. It's sometimes very healthy and helpful for me.
Totally.
Yes, I like all Russian, I think, classics books. Gogol, Bulgakov, and others. Also, I like, I don't know why, Harry Potter. I think it's one of my favorites, and many others.
Yeah, I agree with you on Harry Potter. Usually I try and get books that are like literature, that are classics and like famous authors and stuff, but Harry Potter is irresistible. I love Harry Potter.
Yes.
Jorgen, tell us about you. I'm sure
Yes.
you have an interesting story.
Yes, it's recently I have begun reading systematically. I have read The Secret Garden, and then I have read a book called Stolen Innocence. Now, Secret Garden is fiction, as we know. It has also
Mm-hmm.
been dramatized in the movie. And Stolen Innocence is an autobiography written by a woman named Walsh. She was a member of FLDS, which is a sect from the Latter-day Saints, where they teach and practice polygamy. And she was forced to marry at 16 years of age. And she has written a book about her life. And the prophet that forced her to marry, he is now in jail and so forth. It was in the American media 2 or 3 years ago. But anyway, both books make me cry. When I finished The Secret Garden after, I think it was almost 2 months it took me because I had difficulty sleep. Half a minute after I started crying. So perhaps it's pathetic or what. But anyway, it was something new for me because I haven't cried reading a book before. And Stolen Innocence made me cry twice actually when I read a passage where she describes some of the things she went through and things that went through her head and so forth. And I saw a picture of her as a child, and then I just cried. I couldn't help myself. So in that respect, I think books are awesome because they really can touch your heart. They can change your life, and it gives you something special that I don't think we normally get. And that's why the
Yeah.
written word is so fantastic, I think. Also exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now I
Do
started a
you
book
usually
called The
read
Glass
in English?
Castle. It is, I think it's a bestseller. It's a bit more
The Glass
difficult
what?
than The Glass Castle. It's
I think
about
I've
a
heard of
woman.
it.
No, it's about a woman who describes her childhood in, I think, Arizona. The first part of it, yeah, no, you're from there. The
Arizona!
first part is she's making hot dogs as a child, and she has a dress, and the dress caught fire, and she's taken to the hospital and put on ice and so forth. But it has some very beautiful descriptions. Therefore, it's also
You'll
a bit
have to tell me
difficult.
how it turns out. I'm writing that down. Maybe I'll check into it.
I think it's a bestseller. It's a very popular book. I
I
can't
think
remember.
I've
It's a
heard of
woman
it
who wrote
before.
it. I cannot remember the name of her.
I'll look it up. Okay, and you'll have to tell me how it goes, what your final review is once you finish.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Jorgen.
Yes.
I'm gonna mess this up. Gisele? Gisele? Where are you from?
It's Giselle, or you can call me Giselle.
Oh, okay. Giselle. That's
Yeah,
easy. That's easy
I'm
enough.
I'm from Indonesia.
Cool. So tell us why you like to read or don't, and any favorite authors or books you have.
I really love reading, especially Harry Potter. So I read a lot when I was in junior high until high school, but when I went to college, there's a lot of textbook to read, and then a lot of homework and tasks and projects, so I stopped reading. But I just graduated. Um, the last novel that I read was The Girl on the Train. It's the
Unique title.
New York best-selling books now. It's kind of scary but interesting also. It's because the book is about affair and then killing. It's a thriller book, but it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I really love reading. So now, after I graduate, I think I want to start reading books again. But it's really hard though. It's because now there's a lot of distraction. Your phone, and anything else, your laptop. Like you just read one paragraph and then your phone starts. Your friends text you and then everything. It's really hard for me to read now.
Yeah, you have to really commit and just like put everything away.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like reading online, actually. I know a lot of people use Kindle, or I've tried reading books online, and sometimes it works. But for me, I need a book, like a paper book, so that I can physically go away from all of the other things and sit down with my book and read, and like keep my phone in another room, keep my computer in another room.
Yeah.
That way I'm not like too tempted to go check.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Carolina, will you tell us a little bit about your reading experience and any favorite authors or books you have?
Okay, teacher. When I was at the university, I have to read a lot, so now I am not into reading books. But nowadays I try to read, because I am learning English, I try to read small news or articles, or maybe short stories for learning new vocabulary. But everything that I read is on the internet, so I don't know. Maybe I am tired because I read a lot before.
Yeah, sometimes it gets too much. Sometimes you need to take another kind of break.
Yeah, maybe it's a break.
All right. And Ana Carolina, tell us about your experience, any favorites you have.
I really enjoy reading very much. I read from self-improvement books to sci-fi and mysterious stories.
Mysteries, awesome.
Mysterious stories. I
What?
said mysterious stories.
Histories? Like history from the 1950s or...
No, I'm sorry about my pronunciation, okay?
I'm confused. Mysterious histories or mysterious stories?
Mysterious stories.
Okay, mysterious stories. Got it. That makes more sense. All right.
Okay. Uh, sorry. I thought I should carry on.
Yeah, go ahead if you have something else to say. Any other favorites, or do you like to read in English or not?
I've been trying to read in English. I am a die-hard fan of J.K. Rowling, and I like J.R.R. Tolkien and a Brazilian author called Paulo Coelho, who was translated for several languages. I like Agatha Christie and so on. And I haven't. Sorry, teacher.
Huh? You haven't what? Hello?
An
No?
author that I like very much called Robin Cook.
Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing, Anna Carolina. And last but not least, Ahmed, tell us what your experience has been or any favorites you have.
Okay, I would like to read about my major. It's about chemical engineering. Also, I have a passion to read anything about or related to science. Anything new about science, I love to read. Also, I read for fun. I read novels for an Brazilian author. His name is Paulo Coelho, and his novels translated into English. I'm really enjoying it.
Very cool. I love the Brazilian author Jorge Amado. I really like him. And I've only read his stuff in English. I'm going to one day read something in Portuguese from him. But he's one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites, though. Most of my favorites are American authors, and we're going to talk about them later because I have some excerpts from them. And of course, I haven't had as much experience with authors from outside the US, but if you guys have recommendations, I am all ears. I have a couple recommendations for you guys. The first one is Aesop's Fables, which they're really easy to find. You can find them online. You can buy a book if you want. They're short, and they're usually pretty simple. So I think that's a good way if you feel like you want to try reading for like the first time. You want to try a little bit of like a book. You want to read a book cover to cover. It's easy because you can read a short story and then go do something else. It doesn't take a long time, and it's not that difficult. If you're feeling like really bold, like you've already tried a couple things and you want a whole book that's a story made for native speakers, I would say The Maltese Falcon is a good way to go. It's overall a short book. I think it's like 150 or 200 pages. And the language, I think, is easier to understand than a lot of stuff because many of the American authors tend to be like outdated. So even though they have beautiful language, it might be tough to understand unless you're used to language that was used 100 years ago. So for that reason, I like The Maltese Falcon. And we had someone, oh, Ali, welcome to class.
Yeah, hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what you like to read and any favorite authors or books you have.
Yeah, I think I like to read something like maybe a story or novel, something like that. And I think that my favorite novel I have read it before. It's Animal Farm.
Ah.
Yeah, it's for George Orwell. I think it's a very good novel because it tells us about when a human make or I have a powerful, maybe treat in a bad ways, and what the evolution maybe become more bad because something maybe leave it. You don't have a lot of science, or maybe ignorance. So
Ignorance, yeah.
yeah, they have a lot of knowledge or something like that. Through the evolution, maybe become succeed.
All right.
Something like that.
Cool. Thank you, Ali. All right. So we're going to go on by reading some excerpts from books that I've read and really liked. And then we'll talk about some books I didn't like so much. So I'm going to screen share this document, which was also on the page where you start class. And we're going to read a few sections. Number 1. Let's go back to Omar. Will you read number 1 for us? Can you see it okay? If anyone is having trouble seeing because of the size of the letters, let me know in the chat box and I can make it larger.
Okay. Yes.
Go ahead, Omar. Read number 1 for us, the first excerpt.
Read? Yes. Into her sentiments that in search of
Omar, I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you, Omar. It sounds like your connection isn't super great right now. So I might come back to you for a future one. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. Saibon, will you do number 1?
Yes, teacher. He dog or dodge, I'm not sure.
Doug.
Okay, he dug so deeply into her centimeters that in search of interest he found love, because by trying to make her love him he ended up falling in love with her. Petra Coates, for her part, loved him more and more as she felt his love increasing. And that was how in the repentance of Atom she began to believe once more in the youthful superstition that poverty was a servitude of love.
Thank you very much. I know these can be really tough. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some of these vocabulary words, and a lot of the grammar is kind of slippery because it doesn't use always the same vocabulary and grammar as we would in other contexts like formal writing or in informal speech. We really wouldn't use a lot of the same things. So thank you for reading that for us. Let's take a guess. And I'm not going to give you the answers till the end, but I want you guys to take a guess what book that came from. And the choices are below. Oops. Hold on. I did a bad job of this. I put the answers like right below. I'm going to separate them a little bit so I don't have any cheaters. Although I'm sure you guys could, figure it out if you wanted to. All right, now I'm going to screen share again so you guys can see the options. Okay, so our options are Kurt Vonnegut, A Man Without a Country, Joseph Heller, Catch-22, O. Henry, Hostage to Momus, Jane Austen, Persuasion, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and I think that one was 100 Years of Solitude. I'll put that in there. Okay, and Mark Twain, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Anyone have a guess about what book that was from?
I think Jane Austen.
Could be. She seems like she'd be a very romantic writer. Anyone else have a different guess? All right, only bold one to guess. Let's talk a little bit about some of these words. We might not have time to go over everything in this class, but if there are some words that you're really interested in knowing more about, we can talk about them. Any deep feelings to go over some of this vocabulary? Or any significant questions about what something means?
Yes, a lot, teacher.
I know, it's kind of like, it's very difficult to jump into. Sometimes you have to read it a few times.
Okay, may I just ask you about
Of course.
some? Okay, so first of all, the word that ripeness. I'm sorry.
Ripeness is, so ripe is obviously when a fruit becomes mature enough to be sweet and delicious and you eat it. So when he says the ripeness of autumn, he means it's matured in like a really great season.
I'm sorry, just in context, so together with the atoms, so ripeness of atoms, so together, what does mean?
The ripeness of autumn would mean that the season has developed into a really beautiful time. So autumn, especially in the US, and in lots of places, I would say, it's this season of change where leaves fall and there's lots of different colors and there's a lot of beauty to it, or lots of people see it, and this person thinks that the season has developed in a beautiful, delicious kind of way. So he's comparing it almost to a fruit in that sense.
And one more, please, and I'm done. The servitude of love. What does mean the servitude?
Servitude would be the noun form of serve. So it serves love, the servitude of love. And he's saying poverty is the servitude of love, meaning that somehow poverty is what helps love. Might not be a popular opinion, but it's this guy's opinion. Any other questions on vocabulary or phrases, context here that you guys want to know about?
Yeah, I have one question about sentiments.
Uh-huh. This one here. Definition?
Yeah.
Does anyone else in class want to give us a definition for that word?
Feelings.
Yeah, feelings. All your emotions and feelings are your sentiments. All right. Any other questions on this one? No. Okay. Well, we got one guess. Let's go on to the next one and see if we can place this one. We're going to read it in two sections. So the black section, I'm going to ask Ksenia to read for us.
I can listen no longer in silence. I must speak to you by such means as are within my reach. You pierce my soul. I am half agony, half hope. Tell me not that I am too late, that such precious feelings are gone forever. I offer myself to you again with a heart even more young than when you almost broke it, 8 years and a half ago.
Thank you very much. And Jorgen, will you continue with the green section? Jorgen, are you there? Jorgen, I'm hearing some noise from your audio.
Yes, I am having some problems because it was I needed to recharge it and unplug it and so forth. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Should I read?
Yeah, the green section.
Okay. Dare not say that man forgets sooner than woman, that his love has an earlier death. I have loved no one but you. Unjust I may have been, weak and resentful I have been, but never inconstant. You alone have brought me to Bath, for you alone I think and plan. Have you not seen this? Can you fail to have understood my wishes? I had not waited even these 10 days. Could I have read your feelings as I think you must have penetrated mine?
Awesome, thank you. So before we go into it, let's try and match that to another book. This is kind of another romantic one, so what do you guys think?
I think it's Jane Austen.
Okay, another guess for Jane Austen. I know that she's like the clear romantic writer, and I will admit that I've read almost everything she's written because it's so great. But what else? What are some other romantic titles here, or ones you think might have had a romantic undertone to them? Nobody? Okay, that's okay. So Jane Austen is certainly one of those, but which one? Let's talk a little bit about the meaning here. Do you guys have any questions from both the green and the black section about definitions or meaning or anything like that?
Pierce my soul. It's in the beginning of the second line.
Uh-huh. This one here. Does anyone want to shed some light on that phrase for us? Pierce my soul.
It's like break my soul with something sharp.
Yeah, so pierce is, you know, traditionally some kind of sharp implement, maybe like a knife, a pencil, something that's pointy, and you like stab it in. And if they pierce your soul, it means they've entered for sure, but also that it's like this kind of messy affair of being inside and almost unwillingly inside someone else.
It's like stem.
Did you say like stem?
Mm-hmm.
Not quite. A stem would be like of a flower, right? And it's not very sharp.
Okay.
But if you pierce something, it's a verb. You would take anything sharp, could be a knife, a pen, a pencil, a stone, a razor blade, and you poke it into something else. So in this case, it's like it's not very literal, right? Because your soul, you can't actually touch a soul. So it's this figurative language to say you've pierced my soul, like you got your way into something that's not even touchable.
Okay.
I hope that helps a little bit. I know it's tough to describe and tough to understand sometimes. But the more you think about it, I'm sure the more it makes sense. That's why for these sorts of things, it's best to read them multiple times, and you guys are welcome to do that after class as well. Any other questions on this black and green section? Nothing? All right. Let's do the blue one. And next reader is Gishel. Is that how you say it? I already forgot.
Yeah,
Gishel.
it's Gishel.
Okay. Gishel. Okay. Gishel, will you read the blue section? That's number 3.
Okay. If you want to really hurt your parents and you don't have the nerve to be gay, the least you can do is go into the arts. I'm not kidding. The arts are not a way to make a living. They are a very human way of making life more bearable. Practicing an art, no matter how well or badly, is a way to make your soul grow. For heaven's sake. Sing in the shower, dance to the radio, tell stories, write a poem to a friend, even a loosey poem. Do it as well as you possibly can. You will get an enormous reward. You will have created something.
Should be possibly. Got it. Aye. Should be possibly here. Okay. So what do you guys guess for that author? Kind of a interesting paragraph here. We already said Jane Austen for 2, so she's out. What else do we have? What do you guys think? Is it Kurt Vonnegut, Joseph Heller, O. Henry, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, or Mark Twain? Any guesses here?
A Man Without a Country.
A Man Without a Country, Kurt Vonnegut. Very possible. I think he is kind of controversial sometimes, and this paragraph is pretty controversial. I think that's a good guess. All right. Let's talk about the meaning for that section. Do you guys have any questions about the words? No?
Bearable. What does it mean?
Bearable. This one here?
Yeah.
Well, it's an adjective, and does anyone want to give us a little bit of a definition for this one?
Bearable means tolerable.
Yeah, tolerable is another way. Something that you can survive without too much pain or difficulty. Any other questions? Did I answer that question all right? All right. We're moving on to number 4. Okay. Carolina, your turn. Will you read the orange number 4 section?
Okay, teacher. They are trying to kill me. Josarian told him calmly. No one's trying to kill you. Cleverin cried. They then why are they shooting at me? Josarian asked. They are shooting at everyone. Cleverin answered. They are trying to kill everyone. And what is the difference does that make?
Mm-hmm. I think this one's super funny and very clever because in the end, who cares if they're trying to kill everyone? If they're trying to kill you, that's what's important to you. All right, what do you guys think? Is it Kurt Vonnegut, Joseph Heller, O. Henry, Jane Austen, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, or Mark Twain?
I think it's a Catch-22 because it sounds like an action novel, and the excerpt we read was like an action scene.
I think that's a pretty good guess. We're talking about guns, right? So that makes sense. Awesome. Okay, let's do it number... Oh, actually, did you guys have any questions on the vocabulary there? I think that one's one of the more straightforward sections. We don't have anything too difficult. No questions, right? Don't be afraid. You can ask if you need them. And you're, of course, always welcome to put questions in the chat box. If you don't feel like asking right in the middle of doing something, the chat box is a great place to go so you don't forget that question. Okay. Ana Carolina, will you read number 5, the green section?
There will never be a perfect breakfast eaten until some man grows arms long enough to stretch down to New Orleans for his coffin, over to Norfolk for his rose, and reaches up to Vermont and digs a slice of butter out of a spring house, and then turnovers are beehive close to a white clover patch out in Indiana for their rest. Then he'd come pretty close to making a meal on the ember that the gods eat on Mount Olympia.
Okay. So, what one is it? What author wrote that section? Is it Kurt Vonnegut, Joseph Heller, O. Henry, Jane Austen, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, or Mark Twain? We've already used Jane Austen a couple times. We already think we know which one is Joseph Heller and which one's Kurt Vonnegut, so that leaves us with O. Henry, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and Mark Twain. From those,
Gabriel Garcia Marquez?
Maybe. Anyone have a different opinion? No? It could be that one. Someone in the chat box did write, though, that Gabriel Garcia Marquez is a Colombian author. So I'm guessing the Colombian author might not know a lot of these facts. Norfolk, New Orleans, these are all places in the US. That gives us a little clue. But we'll go on and we'll come back to it. So, no questions? Do you guys have any questions about the meaning of this section? Any burning questions you need answered about vocabulary or grammar? Phrases that look interesting? All right.
I think
Question?
behave.
Which? What?
Beehive.
Oh, beehive. That's what it is. Yeah. So what's a beehive? Does anybody already know?
It's the place where the bees live. When you
Yeah. It's got like honeycombs inside, and they deposit. The whole colony lives inside, and they deposit the honey there, and their queen lives there. Good question. Any other questions on this green one? All right, on to the black section then. Anna Catalina, you read the green section, right? I think that's true.
Yes.
So it would be Ahmed for the black section.
Okay, it made me shiver, and I about made up my mind to pray and see if I couldn't try to quit being the kind of a boy I was and be better. So I kneeled down, but the words wouldn't come. Why wouldn't they? It warned no use to try and hide it from him. Nor from ME, neither. I know very well why they wouldn't come. It was because my heart warned right. It was because I warned square. It was because I was playing double.
Thank you very much. That's a tough one. It's got a lot of colloquial expressions and dialect in there, which we'll talk about after we finish this one. Jorgen, will you read the purple section for us?
Yes. I was letting on to give up sin, but away inside of me I was holding on to the biggest one of all. I was trying to make my mouth say I would do the right thing and the clean thing, and go and write to that nigger's owner and tell where he was. But deep down in me, I know it was a lie, and he knowed it. You can't pray a lie, I found that out.
Okay, so before we go on, we're going to talk about the language in this one. For instance, this word here is traditionally, and especially modernly, not an appropriate word to use. However, this book that we're looking at was written from the perspective of a person a long time ago in the South, at which time this word would have been a very commonly used word. And also about the warrant, that's a colloquial thing. This person has a Southern accent, and it's clear from what they're saying. So they have interesting expressions like, and I about made up my mind. So this about is not something that would usually be used, but in their accent, it's very common. And the warrant isn't as well. So they're saying, it warn't no use, instead of it wasn't any use. So they're using both a double negative, which is not traditionally correct, as well as some reduction to kind of squeeze some of those words together. It warn't no use. Not something you guys really need to know or learn, but kind of an interesting cultural detail. All right. Let's look at which one this belongs to. We've got Kurt Vonnegut, Joseph Heller, O. Henry, Jane Austen, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and Mark Twain. Any strong feelings here about which one it is?
Mark Twain, for sure.
Yeah, Mark Twain, definitely. That's from Huckleberry Finn, and it was a great book, though it might be hard to read for people who aren't really familiar with some of these habits and stuff, but really, really good book. Do you guys have any other questions from this section, aside from some of the crazier stuff that they do, like, you know, knowed and kneeled. These are the incorrect past tenses, which is why they're underlined. But do you guys have any other questions about what he's saying or how he's saying it? You might have to read that one a couple times before it makes a little more sense. But I think the overall idea is clear, hopefully. Okay. So the answers are all right there if you need them, but we'll go through one by one. The first is Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and someone did actually correctly guess that one in the Google chat box. The next one is Jane Austen. The one after that is Kurt Vonnegut. Someone said that correctly, I believe, and someone guessed Jane Austen correctly as well. Catch-22 by Joseph Heller is number 4, which someone correctly guessed. The next one, nobody got right. Does anybody want to take another guess at that? We already know all the other ones. Actually, maybe someone didn't get that one right. I can't remember. Well, number 5 is O. Henry anyways. And number 6 is Mark Twain. These are some of my favorite writers, and they kind of show a really broad spectrum of the things I like to read. Sometimes I'm in it for romance, like Jane Austen. Other times I want some clever commentary on society and all that's wrong with it, like Joseph Heller's Catch-22. So I thought I'd share a little bit of that with you. Do you guys have any last comments or questions before we move on and talk about something slightly different? Did you guys have any clear favorites here?
I think Mark Twain looks interesting.
Mark Twain, yeah, super interesting. And you know, he has a lot of work. He's done short stories as well. So if you guys are interested, I know you can find some of it online. And yeah, super interesting, intelligent man who's got so many quotes too, really good quotes that I love from Mark Twain. Anyone else have a favorite that they want to share or something that they really didn't like? Okay, well, good enough. So let's talk a little bit about books that you might not like as much. We'll make this just a quick overview. I want you guys each to tell me something that you don't like about books. So my example is going to be Jonathan Swift. He wrote a book called Gulliver's Travels, and it's a super classic book in the US. I was made to read it in, I think, my sophomore year of high school, and I just hated every word of it. I thought it was totally uninteresting, and it's written in this language. It's like an old book. I think it was written in the 1800s or something. So the language is really just dry and hard for me to understand, and I just thought the story was boring. And then we had to spend like a whole month in class talking about it, and I really felt like if I had any chance at liking the book at all, it was totally killed by the fact that I had to continue talking about it every single day for like a month. So that was one of my least favorite books. I'm going to start on the left this time and ask you guys to tell me what you might not like about a book, or if you have any least favorite books. Ahmed, what do you think?
Excuse me, I couldn't hear the question.
So I want you to tell me what are some things you don't like about certain books? Like, what's a quality of a book that makes you dislike it? Is it the language? Is it vocabulary? Is it topic?
I hate sometimes books authors not native English speakers, and then when their novels or their books translated into English, I met many problems with the translation that couldn't make me understand the meaning very well.
So good books that are translated poorly and then they don't keep their meaning or importance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does sound like a tragedy. Thanks, Ahmed. Anna Carolina, what makes you dislike a book or any other pet peeves about books?
I like reading. It's very difficult for me to not like something. But when I try to read difficult books, such as The Words by Jean-Paul Sartre, or books like that, I fall asleep because the language is very difficult. And once a friend of mine suggested me a book called Christine, and she said, "Oh, it is awesome. You will love the story." But I hated.
Oh no.
Yes, it was about a haunted car called Christine, and I thought it was very silly, and I didn't like that book.
All right, fair enough. Thank you very much, Anna Carolina. A quick note on your grammar. I heard you say suggest me. It's a very common mistake. We cannot put an object directly next to suggest. Similar to the verb say, we can't say me, and we cannot say suggest me. You can say suggest to me. That's a better option. Thanks, Anna Carolina. And Kat Carolina, tell us, what are your pet peeves of books?
I remember when I was in high school, my philosophical teacher gave me a lot of I don't know, like Aristoteles and Euclides, that kind of books make me feel asleep. So I don't like, and also the language is complex in that books, and they run around the things. How can I say that? They run or around?
They what?
Round or around? They go to different ways to the same thing.
Around, I guess.
Yeah, they go around the things. So sometimes it's difficult for me try to understand them.
Yeah, it's tough when they are not direct with their speech. All right, Giselle?
Yes.
Tell us what are your pet peeves of writing? What do you not like?
I don't like books which has so I really like books which language is very like descriptive. Yeah, so if there's a book like not descriptive, or because I cannot imagine it in my mind when I read it.
Maybe what you're saying is, like, if you had to read a textbook or a book that was not a book of fiction or like some kind of novel, you wouldn't like it as much. So you don't like factual texts and textbooks, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. Yeah, I think I usually agree. Every once in a while I'll find something good, but I like a good story, I think, more than other things. All right. Jorgen, tell us, what don't you like when you read something? What really annoys you if the author's doing it?
Well, if the book starts with a very long and formal introduction of characters that is void of any description or life, that is really boring. And then one character is finally dealt with, and then another one just as boring enters the scene, and you have to start all over again. And you think, when does the story start? Does it even start? And then you throw the book away before you even get going with it. I like books that also has vivid descriptions and are beautiful, but also contain some kind of action that do not start very late in the book. I feel that the author, he has to write in a informal language in a way. He can write beautifully, but he can also write in the, as I feel that he is talking to me as a friend, almost in a more personal, warm style, instead of a old-fashioned, I don't know what formal style. I don't like that. I don't. It's like the tone of the voice should be warm and tender and personal, and also full of description, but not too much description. It should be adequate.
A good balance. Definitely, I think I agree with you on most of those points. Thanks, Jorgen. And Ksenia, will you tell us what are your pet peeves of writing?
Actually, I have. I remembered about one book. It's bestsellers, 5 Shades of Grey. I think it's a waste of my money, of my time.
Oh,
it's
so what were
awful.
your complaints about it? How come you didn't like it?
Because I want to read it, because I knew that it's bestsellers and I think it was great, and I asked my husband to buy me a book for our trip, and he buy me the third part of this book. So I had to buy the first and second part. So I bought all these books and I had to read it.
I didn't even know that there were 3 parts. I thought it was just one
Yes.
book.
No, it's 3 parts of this book.
Wow.
So, yes. But I read 1 page and then I, how to say, not read others, and then I read 6. Then I don't know how to say. When you read some pages, then you don't read several pages, and then you read again. I don't know how
out
to
of
say.
order, or well, you're skipping sections, so you're kind of skipping over stuff you don't like as much.
Yes, because I don't like a lot of description about something like flowers, dresses, buildings for several pages. It almost killed me, and I fell asleep after 5 sentences of this. So it's very boring for me.
Yeah, sometimes I have certain books that I read like kind of to fall asleep. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of tired. I should read 4 pages, and then I fall asleep. So sometimes it's not good, but other times I'm like, yeah, I want to fall asleep. Let me get this boring book out. Okay, thank you very much. I thought I had some comment to make. I have not read 50 Shades of Grey, even though some people say it's amazing and other people say it's like only so-so. I've also not seen the movie. I don't think I'm going to see the movie. Maybe I'll read it. Probably won't see the movie.
Movie, it's okay.
Yeah, the movie's good.
Not good, it's okay. It's so-so, but it's beautiful picture, I think.
All right. Anna Catalina, you said you've read it. What's your review of it, the movie and the book?
I'd rather the book, to be honest, because I thought the movie was full of shallow dialogues, and I don't think the characters were well good looking enough, because yes, it's full of hot scenes, and they should have chosen better.
All right. I haven't seen it. I can't argue. Do you guys have any last comments or questions before we wrap up class?
No.
All right. Thanks, guys, for coming and sharing a little bit with me.
Yes,
I hope you liked the books. And if you have any other questions, message me. See you guys later.
Bye-bye.